Shalom Aleichem, sweetest friends. This year should be a special schus. Lili Nishmas HaKadosh, Rabbi Ari Yoel, Ben, Rabbi Yonah, Lili Nishmaso, Refuas, Rabbi David Henich, Mordechai, Ben, Rabbi Simcha, for Shlam Sol Shechla Yisrael. We're going to be beginning our study of the Ma'amari Pachad Yitzchak on Sukkot. We'll start with Ma'amar Aleph. At the beginning is a good place to start. It says in the pasuk, "V'Avraham Avinu ve'eschal legoy gadol, I'm going to make you a great nation." Zeh shomer Elokei Avraham. And as I'll continue to darshan that pasuk, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov, Yochei Yuchos Mi B'Kulam. I might think that you should conclude the bracha with Baruch Atah Hashem. Something about Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Talmud Lomer V'Yei Bracha. No, the pasuk concludes V'Yei Bracha. You should be a blessing. B'chachos, and only you, Abraham, this God was talking to Avraham in this pasuk. Only you, Avraham, you should be a bracha. B'chachos, you're the bracha. You're the Baruch Atah Hashem Magen Avraham. V'lo behem and not ben. So yeah, v'eschal goy gadol, v'avarecha, v'gadla shemecha. So we darshan first Avraham, and then we darshan Yitzchak, we darshan Yaakov. But the chasimas habracha, the sof habracha is dafka Avraham, and not Yitzchak and Yaakov. And that's why we say Magen Avraham Rashi and Bereshis Yud Beis Beis. The explanation is that, as Rav Footner explains in Pesach Maimer Nun Dalet Oz Beis, the Midah of Chesed is hispashtus. Midah of Chesed is expansive, spreading out. The Midah of Din, of strict judgment, is tzimtzum, is hiskavtzus, is contracting. That's what happens when there's Din. Din is die, enough. Tzimtzum, contracting. Midas Chesed is hispashtus, expansion. So it's clear that znus is the psoles, is the bad stuff that comes out from the midah of chesed. Person is too much of Baal chesed, so he wants to give his love to everybody. V'amevin yavin. So znus is the psoles of the midah of chesed. Ritzicha is the psoles, is the bad stuff of the midah of din. Murder comes from the midah of din on the bad side. So just like on the tzad hapsoles, we find ritzicha l'shem znus, but we don't find znus l'shem ritzicha. People will kill for znus. They don't have znus to kill. So too in the tzad kedusha, we will find tzimtzum l'shem ispashtus, but not ispashtus l'shem tzimtzum. In other words, ritzicha l'shem znus, which we do find, that is din. Ritzicha is din tzimtzum, and that's l'shem znus, l'shem ispashtus. But we don't find znus l'shem ritzicha. So therefore we also don't find in the tzad kedusha, we don't find hispashtus, this midah of chesed, of too much chesed, of bad chesed, l'shem tzimtzum, for the narrowing of the midah of din. We don't find hispashtus, l'shem tzimtzum, we find tzimtzum, l'shem hispashtus. This is explained at length in the Ma'amarim on Sukkos, in the Pachad Yitzchak and Maimer Chaf. There it's explained that chesed is bechinas koach rishon b'koach, the midah b'kochos hanefesh, and midas adin is koach sheni, and it's secondary, and it's only coming to be motzi chesed ala poal. So in the Mela, it makes sense that you're going to find tzimtzum, you're going to find this koach sheni, the shem the koach rishon, but not the koach rishon, for the sake of the koach sheni, because the koach rishon, it's the koach sheni of din, of tzimtzum, has to serve chesed, but not chesed serving din, not hispashtus serving tzimtzum. So that you can look in Maimer Chaf. The inyan of a chasima is that through the chasima, anything that's written before it, when you have the conclusion of the bracha, everything that's written before it is like the maaseh yadayim of the chosem. If you have a signature, so everything before the signature is the signator saying, hey, that's me talking. In other words, the koach of a chasima is that it gives the bailim a yachas and a hishtaychus to the pu'ula of zulas. In other words, if somebody else writes something and I sign on it, so that's putting my own stamp on what somebody else does. And therefore, since the midah of Avraham Avinu is the midah of his pashtus, of chesed lechvot shemayim, so he could be chosem on the pu'ula of the opposite midah of din, that even the maaseh tzimtzum turn into hispashtus when the midah of hispashtus is signed onto it. And so to the midah of rachmanas, which is the midah of Yaakov, it is no longer its own midah, but rather it's the hispashtus of the koach hispashtus, of the original koach hispashtus. Even if somebody isn't worthy of it, it's a rachamim is. So Yaakov is also an extension of the midah of Chesed of Avraham. So Avraham Avinu is concluding the bracha, he's signing off, which means that the midah of din is coming for Chesed. The midah of tzimtzum is coming for the hispashtus. And Yaakov's midah also. Yaakov's midah of rachamim is coming because of Chesed. It's all serving the Chesed. Just it's coming in a rachamim way, even if the person is not worthy. So therefore the chasimas to Avraham Avinu, because that's the koach rishon, that's really the original igniter of the world, of creation, so to speak, is the midah of Chesed of Hashem, as the Mekubalim teach us. So therefore we sign off with Avraham Avinu, showing that everything before that, the middas of Yitzchak and Yaakov, are all for the sake of Avraham, the midah of tzimtzum, of din, of iskavtzus, of narrowing, of strictness. That's all for the sake of the Chesed. It's all to serve the Chesed, and so to the midah of Rachamim, and therefore Avraham Avinu signs off as if to say all those midos are for my sake. He's saying Ksubis, turning to Maimer Beis, Avches, Achenu Gomle Chasadim, Bnei Gomle Chasadim, Ma'uzik B'visu Shel Avraham Avinu. That we say to people who are being Menachem Ovel, that they're Gomle Chasadim, the son of Gomle Chasadim, that are holding on to the bris of Avraham. So what's pshat? That Avraham is our father. So it's not pshat that since Avraham was our father, therefore he gave us the midah of Chesed. The opposite is true. Because Avraham had a heart filled with his shtokakus to give us this midah, therefore he became our father. It's not that he's our father, therefore he gave us this midah. It's that he had this midah, he had a leiv mali shtokakus of this midah of Chesed, and memele he became our father. So the inyan of nisyonos we only find by Avraham, we don't find by the other avos. Look in the Maharal, in the Sefer Derech Chaim, the Gabei Asar Nisyonos Nisnas Avraham Avinu. And the explanation is that Avraham Avinu did not give us, as we explained, the midah of Chesed because he is our father, but rather on the contrary, because his heart was filled with this hishtokus, with this desire to give us this midah, memele he became our father. And therefore it emerges that this inyan is meyuchad dafka l'Avraham Avinu, because the midah of Chesed is mechayev a hishtokakus to the osher of the zulas. The midah of Chesed obligates one to have a strong desire for another person to be happy. That's the midah of Chesed. So memela, the midah of Chesed of Avraham Avinu caused him to be a father. Since he had this midah of Chesed, so he wants to be a father. He wants to be able to give. But by midah of Yitzchak, it's the opposite. There, because he was our father, therefore we inherited the midah of Yira. Not that the midah of Yira creates fatherhood. And also by Yaakov Avinu, same thing. It's not that his midah created his fatherhood. First he was his father, and therefore we inherited the midah of Yaakov, the midah of Emes, the midah of Tiferes. But by Avraham Avinu, it started with the fact that he wanted to do Chesed, and that created the fact that he became our father. Since he had this midah, his heart was filled with this midah, maybe he wanted to give, he became our father, now we have that midah. And it's dafka only by the name of Avraham that we find the inyan of fatherhood. Avraham, as the Gemara says, Av Hamon Goyim, the father of many nations. That's what Avraham means, is an acronym for. So that's because that's Avraham Be'etzim. His midah is shaykh to fatherhood. First, the other of us were first fathers, then they gave us our midah. But Avraham Avinu became our father because of this midah. therefore the Nisyonos in the Midah of Avraham Avinu were also Nisyonos in his inyan of fatherhood. Had he not passed these tests, couldn't have been the father, because he was the father be'etzem. Because of his midah, because he overcame the nisyonos, that's what made him our father. In contrast to this, Yitzchak and Yaakov also had nisyonos, like all the tzaddikim that have a derech of nisyonos. But their nisyonos are only shaykh to their own personal avodah, and are only nogea to their fatherhood indirectly, because avada, all of the gains and earnings that a father gains in his own business make the Yerusha bigger, but they're not shaykh to his fatherhood. And therefore, the nisyonos of Yitzchak and Yaakov were not told to us in the Torah, because that has nothing to do, we're not explicated by Chazal. You read in the Chumash of their they didn't have it easy either, Yitzchak and Yaakov. But the inyan of Nisyonos in Chazal is Dafka be'Avram Avinu. And the reason is because this is Shaykh Dafka to his fatherhood, to us. Because all of his Nisyonos and his Midah of Chesed were a Nisayon in his Kisharon, in his ability to be a father. And therefore we find Nisyonos Dafka be'Avram Avinu in Chazal, Asar Nisyonos Nisnas Avram Avinu, and not by Yitzchak and Yaakov, because these were Midos, these were tests to test his Midah of Chesed. And if he didn't pass these tests, then he couldn't have been a father, because what made him a father were the tests. So obviously this requires more discussion, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give us the koach and the moach and the simcha to continue in the future shiurim. We have a lot planned, and we should be zocha lilmodu lamed lishma v'las l'kaimus kol v'yei samat ras v'hava, amen v'amen. Shalom, shalom, sweetest and most beloved friends.